So I'll call this meeting to order, and I'll start with our land acknowledgement. We begin the meeting this morning by acknowledging that the Niagara region is situated on treaty land. The land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara Police Services Board stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands in which we live. And I'll do a roll call. Member Kiokio.
Present.
Member D'Angela.
Present.
Member Eek.
Present.
Member Ip.
Present.
Member Lawson.
Present.
And Member McKendrick.
Present. Good morning.
And are there any conflicts of interest this morning with any part of the first meeting? Seeing none. At this time, I'll turn the chair over to our EA, Deb Reed, to conduct our elections. Deb?
Thank you. I'll begin the election process and call for nominations for the position of board chair. Member Steele?
I'll nominate Member Lawson, and I do have Member Yip to second that.
Great, thank you. Member Yip is seconding the nomination.
That's
Thank
correct.
you. Member Lawson, do you agree to let your name stand?
I do.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations for the position of chair? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the nominations? Moved by Member Yip, seconded by Member Eek. All those in favor of closing the nominations? Opposed, if any? That's carried. The nominations are now closed. Could I now have a motion to elect Member Lawson as Chair of the Police Services Board for the year 2023? Moved by Member Steele, seconded by Member Yip. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Congratulations, Chair Lawson.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll continue with the next item on the
Congratulations.
agenda, which is the election of the vice chair, and I'll call for nominations. Sorry, Member McKendrick.
I would like to nominate Member D'Angela for Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder for the nomination? Chair Lawson, you'll second the nomination?
Yes.
Okay, Member D'Angela, do you agree to let your name stand?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations for the position of vice chair? Member Steele,
I'll move Member Eek.
thank you. Is there a seconder for the nomination? We need a seconder for the nomination to stand. Oh, sorry, Member Yip. Second the nomination. Member Eek, do you agree to let your name stand?
I do.
Great, thank you. Are there any further nominations for the position of vice chair? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the nominations? Moved by Chair Lawson, seconded by Member Steele or Member Yip. Sorry, the squares are small here, so. Thank you. The nominations, all those in favor, sorry? Opposed, if any, that's carried. The nominations are now closed. So in accordance with our procedural bylaw, before the vote is taken, the mover and seconder and nominee in each nomination are provided with an opportunity to speak to their nomination. There's a 5-minute time limit for each speaker, and the speakers will be called upon in alphabetical order by the nominee's last name. So for Member D'Angela's nomination, Member McKendrick as mover, would you like to speak to the nomination?
I would not. I will leave it in Member D'Angela's hands. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Chair Lawson as the seconder, would you like to speak to your nomination?
I say the same thing as Member McKendrick, that I'm sure Member D'Angela can speak for himself.
Okay, thank you. And Member D'Angela, as the nominee, would you like to speak to your nomination?
I'll just keep it brief. As a board member for quite a while, I've served in different positions, and I'm very pleased that my name was put forward for vice chair position, and I'm hoping the rest of the board sees fit to elect me as vice chair. I'll keep it short. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now move for Member Eek's nomination. Member Steele, as mover, would you like to speak to your nomination?
No, I'll let Dave speak for this. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And Member Yip, as seconder, do you wish to speak to your nomination?
Same as everyone else, I think that the nominee can speak.
Thank you. And Member Eek, as the nominee, do you wish to speak to your nomination?
I will briefly. Thank you very much, Deb. I have served the past year as the deputy or vice chair. And in that capacity, I served as on the negotiation committee, being successful for a 6-year contract. As well, I serve on the wellness committee and have chaired only one meeting because of the great attendance by our chair. And I enjoy and am passionate for the police, knowing the responsibilities involved in taking care of our community and ensuring its safety. So I would be pleased for your support. Thank you kindly.
Thank you. After hearing from the speakers, I will now call the vote. All those in favor of Member D'Angela as vice chair, show of hands. 4. And all those in favor of Member Eek as vice chair, show of hands. Member Eek has the majority of votes, so therefore I will declare Member Eek as vice chair of the Police Services Board for the year 2023.
Many thanks for your trust and support, members of the board.
Great, thank you. This concludes the election process, so I will turn the meeting back over to Chair Lawson to continue with the rest of today's agenda. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I apologize in advance. I'm learning this very quickly. Okay, so under 5.1, the adoption of minutes, we have the minutes of the public board meeting. Sorry. And on Zoom at the same time. If I could have members Kiokio and D'Angela move those motions, that the minutes of the public board meeting held Thursday, December 15th, 2022 be adopted as circulated. Any questions? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Item 6, chair's report. Apparently I have a chair's report already. Welcome to the welcome to the ministry. So we're welcoming the police services advisor. So on behalf of the board, I would like to welcome Dwayne Sprague to the meeting. Dwayne is the Inspectorate of Policing at the Ministry of the Solicitor General, and he serves as the backup policing services advisor to Zone 4 police boards in Ontario. He is at our meeting today as part of the routine visits by policing services advisors to police boards across the province. David Tilley is attending another police services board meeting held at the same time today, so we're pleased that Dwayne was able to attend our meeting on his behalf to ensure the continued attendance of the police advisors at our meetings. On January 10th, the CAPG held its biannual roundtable for Police Services Board and Commission chairs. The meeting was attended by myself as the board of directors, as well as other board of directors and board chairs from across Canada. Discussions focused on board governance and the administrative duties of board chairs and members, as well as any formal commitments to consult and accommodate the relationships between the boards of municipal police services and the tribal councils and organizations representing the First Nations. The Canadian Association of Police Government hosts monthly webinars as part of its educational strategy to keep police boards and police executives across Canada apprised of issues currently impacting the policing community. Board members attended a webinar entitled Board Commission Self-Evaluation on January 17th for discussion on how police boards and commissions can perform annual self-evaluations. The next webinar is scheduled for February 14th for discussions on proven mental health strategies for public safety personnel. All board members are pre-registered, and for those who cannot attend, a recording of the session will follow from the webinar when it's complete. On January 11th, the Niagara Regional Police Service held a swearing-in ceremony in the community room at police headquarters. Vice Chair Eek, members Kiokio, D'Angela, Yip, Steele, and myself attended, along with Chief McCullough and members of the NRPS executive staff, to welcome 2 currently serving police officers and 5 new recruits at the Regional Police Service. On February 22nd, the Ontario Association of Police Services Boards will hold their Zone 4 quarterly meeting, hosted by the Halton Police Services Board. And Zone 4 consists of a total of 14 police services boards, including municipal and OPP contract boards or First Nations police governance bodies that are located within the regions or counties of Brant, Haldimand, Halton, Hamilton, Niagara, Norfolk, and Oxford. These quarterly engagements allow boards within a certain geographic area to meet for the purpose of discussing matters related to the police governance. Agenda details will be confirmed closer to the meeting date. And upcoming PSB meetings, there is a Finance Committee meeting scheduled for Thursday, February 9th at the next monthly board meeting, which is scheduled for Thursday, February 23rd. Both meetings will start at 9 a.m. and will proceed as hybrid meetings, with the in-person portion being held in the community room at the police headquarters. And that ends my report. Is there any questions? Seeing none, I'll turn that over to, I was going to say reports from the chief, but all of these fun little things to look on Zoom right now, I think I'm passing that over to Deputy Flynn.
Good morning. Congratulations, Chair, on your election, and to Member Eek as Vice Chair. Board members, good morning, and thank you to I guess former Chair Steele for your leadership on the board. I want to start this morning just to speak briefly to the events that unfolded this week in Fort Erie 2 days ago, I guess now, following a telephone threat to one of our elementary schools. On Tuesday at 2:56 p.m., our communications unit was contacted by school staff from Garrison Road Public School, who reported that they had received a telephone threat and that the school had implemented a shelter-in-place safety procedure. This next bit, I just want the board to have a sense and our public to have a sense that response to this incident was very swift. Obviously, our members from Fort Erie itself, our frontline uniform members in 5 District, officers from Port Colborne, members of our mobile crisis response unit, our core units, our K9, Marine, Niagara Parks, and of course, members of our emergency task unit all attended the scene in Fort Erie. So there was significant resources that were surged into this area to make sure that we had the appropriate staffing. As a result of some ongoing investigative pieces, we also requested Stevensville Public School and the Peace Bridge Public School to implement safety procedures at that time. They were lifted a short time later at those schools, and the children were allowed to leave. Officers then safely cleared Garrison Road, and at about 4:35 in the afternoon, working with the school staff and administrators from the DSBN, we began the procedures to make sure our children from the schools were either on the buses or with their parents or guardians. Recognized that day was an extremely stressful situation for families, parents, staff in Fort Erie, and really want to thank everybody, and I know we have already, but for their patience and cooperation while we undertook our duties. I really want the board and the community to know that this investigation remains ongoing, and it is being led by our detective office in Fort Erie. I have been advised that it will take some time. We believe it'll take some time to determine as best we can exactly what happened and explore all those investigative avenues. As soon as we are able to and appropriate, we will have further releases regarding the incidents from that day. On to some other news in Niagara. This has been a topic that Chief McCullough has discussed recently, I think, in the probably fourth quarter of last year. We've announced in the last few weeks that we have a new traffic hotline, and that it's a phone number that is a direct number for anybody who wants to call us regarding their concerns about speeding on the roads or any other traffic related issues. So our new hotline is 289-248-1060. It is posted on our website. If anybody goes on and just does a quick search for traffic, it's the first link that'll pop up, and the public will be able to see the line that they're able to call. It makes it, I think, easier rather than going through some 7-digit extension codes and trying to navigate their way through. This will allow the public to directly phone this line about their concerns. Also of note, it is a direct line for traffic, but in the case of any emergencies, emergency services required, or collision reporting, our public should still be calling 911 where appropriate, and the regular police lines. Reporting on homicides and attempt homicides for this previous period of December 15th to January 24th. We have none to report in this time frame. In terms of traffic fatalities and serious collision statistics from December, there was 1 fatal motor vehicle collision in that month, and 2 life-threatening injury motor vehicle collisions as well. I'll just briefly advise the board of the incidents. In the first incident on December 4th of this year, our 8 district officers in the Grimsby, West Lincoln area responded to a report of a collision on Caister Gainsborough Town Line Road and 16 Road in West Lincoln, along with EMS, obviously, and the West Lincoln Fire Services. A single vehicle, a pickup truck, had left the road, struck a tree, and caught fire at that location. Sadly, when the fire was extinguished, a male was found deceased in the vehicle. So our NRPS collision restriction unit and our forensic services unit are assigned to this investigation, as was the coroner. The deceased was ultimately identified as an 18-year-old male, a local male from the area of West Lincoln. So this remains under investigation at this time. We had a life-threatening collision in Niagara Falls on December 10th, where a pedestrian was struck crossing Drummond Road and Summer Street in the Falls. The investigation determined that the vehicle was traveling on Drummond and struck a pedestrian crossing it near Summer Street. The driver did stop and remained at the scene until police arrival. The pedestrian was determined to have suffered life-threatening injuries and transported to an out-of-town trauma center. This does remain under investigation as well by Collision Reconstruction. And I believe the final report is out of Thorold on December 22nd, when uniformed members responded to a report of a serious collision on Beaver Dams Road near Baker Street in Thorold. Police determined that a 59-year-old male driving westbound on Beaver Dams, the vehicle that they were driving crossed the road into an oncoming lane of traffic and collided with another motor vehicle. The driver of the first vehicle suffered life-threatening injuries and was transferred to an out-of-town trauma center again. The driver of the second vehicle had only minor injuries and was released. And that collision also remains under investigation. Some items for the board that were in the news during this previous month. Some very significant drug arrests in the area. In early January, detectives were contacted by our counterparts at the Canada Border Services Agency and alerted to a package that had been shipped to Canada and found to contain illegal narcotics. The package ultimately was discovered to contain approximately 4 kilograms of ketamine destined for a St. Catharines address and having originated in Germany. Believe the street value of this product was approximately $145,000. Detectives, the investigation was led by our 1 district street crime unit and supported by our special investigative services. And on January 24th, there was a controlled delivery of this package to a residence, followed by a search warrant at the residence, and a 64-year-old male was arrested and charged in this incident. Another incident in January of this year, our street crime detectives in Niagara Falls started an investigation around the distribution of illegal drugs. And on January 3rd, they executed a search warrant at a motel on Lundy's Lane and found 180 grams of fentanyl, 485 grams of crystal methamphetamine, 56 grams of cocaine, and 473 grams of marijuana. The combined value of the drugs was around $44,000. And additionally, they seized some cash in a proceeds of crime investigation. As a result of this investigation, an adult male and an adult female were both arrested and facing charges. We also had the street crime unit in Niagara Falls. They were busy in December. They started an investigation, and on January 10th, they executed a search warrant at a residence in the area of Drummond Road and Monroe Street. And during that search, they recovered approximately 600 grams of fentanyl, 28 grams of cocaine, and 2 grams of crystal methamphetamine, with a combined value around $66,000. Also seized at that time were 30 rounds of shotgun ammunition. As a result of this investigation, 5 individuals have been arrested and face various charges from including possession of a prohibited weapon and possession of fentanyl for the purpose of trafficking. And Chair, that is the end of my report this morning.
Thank you, Acting Chief Flynn. Board members, any questions? Yes, Member Kiokio. Member Kiokio.
Sorry, I was on mute. Just through you, Madam Chair, to Deputy Flynn, can you please repeat the traffic hotline number again, just so I have it right?
Absolutely. Sorry, I'll just go back. It is 289-248-1060. And again, we'll endeavor to make sure that that number is, broadcast on our social media accounts, as well as, we'll do our best to make sure it's prominently displayed on our website so the public can access it in an easy manner.
Great. I just think it's an excellent idea, because I know a lot of people, when they see things, they want a phone right away. So to have this right on their phone is an excellent idea. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Member Kiokio, do you have another question?
No, I'm fine. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Perfect. Thank you. Members, any other questions? Vice Chair Eek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just through you to Acting Chief Flynn. I too, as Member Kiokio indicated, that this is a wise move to make a separate number regarding the traffic hotline. And just to ensure with the public who may be listening, this number goes to a specific area to address these concerns and does not interfere with the 911 line, because I think some people are reluctant perhaps to call the 911, not perhaps assessing the need or the requirements of what they're viewing on the traffic highway. So I think this is positive. So Acting Chief Flynn, it is separate from 911, correct?
That's correct, Member Eek. And I mean, there are certainly times when a member of the public who sees something happening on the roadway that they believe is criminal, whether it's impaired driving or dangerous driving, where 911 is absolutely the appropriate, number to be calling. This number, and I guess in my vision or sort of the way we approach it, is where there's chronic issues in a neighborhood, or events that issues that our public are seeing on an ongoing basis, or something where they get home and they've seen some sort of egregious driving habits or some road hazard that they think that we should be aware of. They can call this phone number. It does go through to our traffic enforcement unit. It is monitored out of our traffic enforcement unit. So those are, that's sort of our leadership piece in terms of road safety. It can be addressed out of that unit, or it can be moved on to any one of our districts to help in enforcement in that area.
Thank you very much for the clarity. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Member McKendrick.
Thank you, through Chair, to Acting Flynn. Just a thank you back to the
what you shared about the shelter in place for our schools in Fort Erie yesterday. Just wanted to thank the service for the swiftness as well as the clear, succinct, and timely communication. As a member of the public who wasn't directly involved, I can only imagine the chaos and the dynamic considerations in that with parents and children and teachers. So just sharing appreciation for our schools for implementing and following their protocols, as well as the service for the swiftness, the abundance of caution, and being able to balance all of those considerations at a very heightened time of emotion for everybody. So just a thank you, and also to the communication department for the timeliness and the succinctness of sharing that information out to the public. So thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for that mention of communications, because apart from corporate communications, I really should have also thanked the members in our communications unit who, are at the center of all of that, and no doubt handled a ton of calls during that time from families. Thank you.
Great. Board members, any further questions? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item 8, there are no presentations this morning. Next, we have consent agenda 9.1 to 9.6, moved by member Eek and member Yip, that the information be received. Would anyone like to bring forward any of these items? Seeing none, anyone opposed? That is carried. New business, item 10.1, OAPSB request for support for federal bail reform. The email dated January 21st, 2023 from the Ontario Association of the Police Services Boards, requesting the board consider its support on the issue of bail reform as advanced to the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada and Minister of Public Safety by the Toronto Police Services Board and endorsed by the OAPSB. Copies of letters sent to the OAPSB and the Toronto PSB related to the federal bail reform are attached for reference, moved by member Steele and member McKendrick. Would anyone like to bring forward any of these items? I think I read that out of order. Oh, sorry. Are there any questions is what I'm supposed to ask? Seeing none, anyone opposed? That is carried. I'll get the next one right. How's that? 10.2, Police Services Board bylaw revision, use of force. The memo dated January 5th, 2023 from Deb Reed, Executive Director, Niagara Regional Police Services Board, providing the board with revisions to the use of force bylaw as required for compliance with the Ontario Regulation 532-22, made under the Police Services Act, amending the equipment and use of force regulations, and requesting the board approve revised bylaw 346/2014. I see that can I have member D'Angela and member Eek move that motion that the board adopt the revisions to the bylaw as appended to the report and authorize the board chair and executive director to execute the required documentation. Are there any questions? Seeing none, anyone opposed? That is carried. 10.3, special fund requests, gift card donations to SOFIFRAN Niagara. The service report dated December 16th, 2022, requesting the board approve a donation to the SOFIFRAN to assist with the purchase of gift cards provided to newcomer families on December 17th, 2022 during the Christmas dinner event. This was previously pre-approved by the board on December 16th, and this is actually before the board right now for ratification. I have member Yip, and seconded by member Steele, that the board approve a donation in the amount of $500 from the special fund to the OSFIFRAN Niagara. Are there any questions? Seeing none, anyone opposed? Oh, sorry, member D'Angela.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. I just want to make mention for those watching the video recording here that those funds are not taxpayer dollars. They come from a special fund. That money that's put into that account comes from different items, auctions, I believe bid of proceeds of crime, just so that the public is aware they're not taxpayer dollars that are being redonated. They're special. It's coming from that special fund.
Thank you, Member D'Angela. That is a good point to make when we have these motions. Are there any other questions? Comments? Seeing none? That is carried. 10.4. Special fund request from the International Police Hockey Tournament, the NRPS Men's Over 35 Division Hockey Team. The service reported dated January 4th, 2023, requesting the board approve a donation to help offset the expenses incurred for registration, travel, and accommodations by members of the NRPS Men's Over 35 Division Hockey Team competing in the International Police Hockey Tournament being held in Waterloo, Ontario from February 23rd to 24th, 2023. Previous donations between 2016 to 2019 were $500, and in 2020, $700. There was no donation in 21-22. That's moved by Member McKendrick, seconded by Member Kiokio, that the board approve a donation in the amount of $1,500 from the special fund to the NRPS Men's Over 35 Division Hockey Team competing in the 2023 International Hockey Tournament. Any questions? Seeing none, anyone opposed? That is carried. Other new business. Do any board members have any other new business? Seeing none, item 12, in-camera reports. These reports are reports that are reporting back to the public. We have in-camera report agenda number item 12.1, moved by Member D'Angela and Member Eek, that in accordance with the board direction, the above noted in-camera report be received as public information. Are there any questions? Seeing none, anyone opposed? That is carried. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for your support, and thank you for everyone who is watching. We will reconvene in camera session to carry on with our caucus meeting in 2 minutes.
Madam Chair, Debbie, it's Councillor Kyo, it's Pat Kyokyo.